Barakatuh, dear esteemed viewer of Salam Television, we welcome you to today's segment of the Al Hidayah Show that comes to you right here on the screens of Salam Television. Today is the 18th of January 2024, that corresponds to the 6th of Rajab, the 7th month of the Islamic calendar. The year is 1445. My name is Muhammad Sekalala, and we shall be going with the topic that is to do with aspects of good morals in Islam, where we diverge into issues that affect the Muslim community today, parenting, social affairs, among others. Today, we have been looking at a series of issues to do with parenting. We looked at intentional parenting, balanced parenting, and our question today is, before one becomes a parent, what are things you need to look out for? And to help me understand the medical considerations, the medical perspectives of parenting, preparations for parenting in Islam, we shall have a guest that is none other than a medical doctor, a specialist gynecologist, none other than Dr. Mariam Chinene. I request her to say salam and introduce herself briefly before we can continue with the discussion.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That is Dr. Mariam Chinene for you. Dr. Mariam,
yes.
Before we go into the topic, who is Dr. Mariam in a minute or two?
Okay, I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist.
Yes, please.
I'm a resident gynecologist at Apricot Healthcare, which is on Mawanda Road. And I'm also a visiting obstetrician and gynecologist at Platinum Hospital,
okay,
Kasero Hospital Limited, and Chivoli Muslim Hospital.
Wow, thank you very much. So that is our specialist gynecologist. The other terminology, the other medical term usually is hard to pronounce, but we shall get to know it better. So, dear viewer, parenting in Islam is a very important aspect, one that if is done well, we are assured of paradise, guaranteed. The Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the name of hadith said, if you raised your one daughter perfect well, you'll be assured of paradise. In another narration, if you brought up your children well, they would, and they memorize Quran, you are going to be among those that will be interceded for. So it means that if you want to do this aspect of parenting in Islam, you need to understand and put it in context the fact that you're working for your own Jannah. Now, today we want to look at the aspect of before you become a parent. We are now looking at university students here. There are also people who are not students, but they have not yet got married. We are asking ourselves, do you know the considerations you should take note of before you get married? To guide and give the Islamic teaching on that, the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that usually if you are a lady, the following are things that a man should look out for in a lady. One, it is their family lineage. Two, it is their social standing. Three, it is beauty. And then he also added the aspect of religious consideration. And he said, take note of the religious aspect because it will be a solution to most of the challenges that you will come across. So you can find that in the narration, the issue of family history, the issue of the lineage is mentioned as an important aspect. So to help us understand that part of the hadith of family history, family lineage, we have invited our doctor here to tell us medical considerations. Why did the Messenger Muhammad have to mention the aspect of look at the family history, the lineage of this partner? The same thing applies to the lady, that you should look out if a man came and he's religious, upright, and his morals are good, please give your daughter in marriage to him. So it meant that we are still looking at the history of this individual that you are looking at. So it means that importantly, before you crash land on someone, before you you say this is my better half. There are issues that you should look out for, and one of which is the family history. So, doctor,
Yes.
to start us off, when we talk about medical considerations, what should our viewer expect out there in terms of content?
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sekalala. Like, from part of the history,
Now,
you know, Islam is a complete way of life.
No.
All aspects, like medically, physically, mentally, socially, financially, politically, all of them like covered in Islam. So from the history part of it, like when you think you're looking for a spouse who you would want to be the mother or the father to your future children, inshallah, you would love to know, is there any family history of diseases? Because some of the diseases run in the family.
okay.
Like some mental illnesses run in the family.
Okay.
Is there a history of diabetes? At what age did those people who have diabetes get it? Were they born with it? Did it happen after like an incident? Did it come in adulthood?
Okay.
Like it kind of like gives you a clue from the genetical point of view.
Wow.
There are some diseases like fibroids, though the causes are not exactly known.
Yes.
But it's thought the genetic factor is thought to be very key.
Very
so
key.
some of those run in the family.
Oh.
Then there are bleeding disorders. Someone could tell you that, like for example, me when I was delivered, or my aunties, they usually like bleed a lot.
Okay.
Some of them could be things that run in the family, that if you got history
Okay.
and then you go to a doctor for a pre-marital or pre-engagement evaluation, some of those things could come up.
Okay.
And there are some that could be prevented or dealt with, so that mashallah you have like very good offsprings.
Mashallah.
Yeah, after like Allah. Then other diseases like hypertension, if there is a family history of hypertension, you'd love to know if there is maybe history of fits, like epilepsy. Some of it may run into the family. So when you get to know about it, then you're better prepared, and it also gives you enough, like it gives you room to make like a decision. Like bi'idhni rahman.
Okay, thank you very much. So viewer, our doctor has given us a snapshot, a summary of what you should look out for in terms of preparation. Now the question then is, doctor, I'm in this seminar, I'm a university student, I've been invited to a workshop, and then right across the corner in the room, I spot this lady or I spot this gentleman, and I develop interest in them.
Yes.
So at what moment, at what stage should I begin thinking about those things? Is it we should first have a 1 week talk, 1 month talk before I can bring in that discussion, or I should do it right away before even start off the discussion of marriage?
Before you start off the discussion of marriage,
yes,
you should
please.
start like right away.
Wow.
You of course need to know who the person is, where do they come from, where do they live.
Okay.
Because when you know where they come from, definitely you can easily get information from the spouse, like that very person themselves, or even in their neighborhood, or people or their relatives.
Okay.
Like the neighbors would know that they are twins in that family. Like then you get to know that yes, like there is a family history of twins. So bi'idhni rahman, they could be like a likelihood that I could probably get his one twins, or information like maybe sometimes like in some families, like they take long maybe to have babies. It could be intentional, it could be like familial.
Okay.
So before like you really get committed to a person, you need to do some background check. To have that enough information for you to take a decision, ideally.
Wow. So my viewer out there, you know, the issue of getting a marriage partner is a very interesting subject that if you opened up even the calls now, you're going to find a lot of experiences and testimonies. But I want still to put this question in context. The cases where let me just even mention the case of a workshop or seminar or wherever we have been, and I've developed this interest in this person. Do you think that I would be taken serious to tell this person that I want to go to your parents right away?
No, that
neighborhood, where do you stay, those things, before even they drive me into medical checkup and the rest?
No, like when you see somebody, you just get to know them. Just like, you know, this one is called so and so.
Okay.
You could know their parents, where they study and where they live. And then be it Rahman, you can go pray about it. And then you start the journey of getting history.
Okay.
Or getting to know the people. You don't get it like right there and then
that you meet somebody first meeting, yes.
And then you ask them, are you a sickler? Do you have people who are sicklers?
Okay.
Do you have a bleeding disorder in the family? Is there somebody who has ever had breast cancer? No, you don't get that information there and then. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a process.
It's a process.
Yes.
Wow.
Not done like at a go like
at
that.
A go. Okay. So viewer, we are looking at the medical considerations before marriage, and with us is Dr. Mariam Chinene, who is telling us that based on the guidance that Islam gave us, that before you bring the intention, bring the goal of getting married to this person or marrying this person, their consideration should look after. Are they Muslim? What's their family history? All of us would love beauty and money because it's one of the considerations, but you find that aside from beauty and the money, there's the issue of the family history or the lineage, and then the issue of the religious part of it. So we are trying to marry the two of the religious aspect and then the family lineage or the family lineage, as the Messenger Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned. So we have started on a note that says, if you've developed interest in this person, study her, talk one or two things, and then question will be now, at what moment do we now say we need to get into the family history? Doctor.
At what moment? First of all, you should know yourself.
Know yourself as a
person.
As a person.
Do you have any chronic medical illness?
So in other words, when we are talking, I have to mention it to the person, prospective spouse?
Not really. But you first get to know yourself. For example, if you're like a carrier for sickle cell disease.
Okay.
Or if like you have sickle cell disease, then ideally to improve the good health in children, to reduce on the risk of the disease, you need to ensure at least the spouse is not a carrier, or is not like a sickler.
No.
Otherwise, like to reduce on that risk, unless if you're willing to, you know, to pay the price.
To pay the price of which
like or looking after like sicklers, which wouldn't be like very good, like from the community point of view and from the child's health point of view. So first of all, you get to know who you are, like what risk do you have in your family, like you as a person, all the things about you, and then you get to know that from my point of view, I have this risk. So if I have an opportunity, maybe I'll choose somebody who doesn't have this risk, so that you kind of like reduce on that particular risk. Yes, and like marriage, since it's an act of worship, and it's a long-term commitment, and it's the basis of community. It's not just like at one
just
go,
wake up from the bed and
like from the seminar, and you've seen somebody and then you hit it off.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a process, like to get to know somebody. Where does this girl go to school? Who are the parents?
And the rest.
Yes, and then you let even your parents or your guardians like to help you, as of course you pray and listen to your inner self.
Listen to your inner self.
Yes, about that very person.
Thank you very much. So viewer, we have noted and appreciated the fact that we all need to know our medical status, health status. How many times have we checked? Have we gone for medical checkup? I know in Uganda the practice is you only go for medical checkup when it is a requirement at the workplace or it's a requirement for promotion. But it seems it is time for us all as Muslims and the people that are viewing us to have routine medical checkup sessions, whether you can do it every once a year or after 6 months, depending on the capacity that you have. But it means there's no shortcut to life, and that will inform the decision that you're going to make when you're looking out for the prospective marriage partner. So begins with you knowing what is your status, what are the illnesses you have been suffering from childhood. Have you talked to mommy and daddy of what were those what we would call illnesses that made me bedridden for some time and then I recovered, but the effects could have been carried along with me? When you appreciate that, then it becomes a foundation of discussion with the prospective partner. So, doctor,
yes,
having made us appreciate the fact that we need to know our health standing, take us through on the some of the things. Now we have appreciated one another. I've talked to this person and they have told me they have ABCD as illnesses. What are some of the other things that you can't just mention to someone they believe and they would need examination in the hospitals to confirm that whatever I'm saying is actually true? Because we don't want to go into the risk of what you say, paying the price of the kids suffering and then the cost of bringing the children in at a very high price.
Okay. So in the hospital, the intending people to get married are checked for their blood group.
Blood group? Yes,
the blood group has like 2 ways of classification.
Okay.
There is A, B, O.
Okay.
And then the other part is rhesus positive or rhesus negative.
What are those things, maybe?
Just like you're called Muhammad Sekalala.
Yes, please.
Even like when like classifying the type of blood group, there is the first part, which could either be A,
yes,
or B, or AB, or O. And then the other part is either rhesus positive or rhesus negative. It's very important if the lady is rhesus negative, and the man is rhesus positive, it's very important that before they get married, they get to understand its implications, because it can lead to very advanced outcomes or even baby losses if it is not put into consideration.
That is a very important aspect. Kindly take us through what are some of the blood groups that should never get married. Can A plus and A plus get married to each other? A minus can get married to B minus, I think. And then what will be the implications perhaps as we prepare to go for the break? Okay.
Any group can get married to each other, but if the lady is rhesus negative,
yes,
then the best would have been if the man is rhesus positive, is rhesus negative as well.
Wow.
Which is very rare because they are only like 25% of the population. But if you find that the lady is rhesus negative, irrespective of whether it's A or and the man is positive, then they need a special medicine. It's called anti-D when they are pregnant. Like when they are 28 weeks pregnant and 32 weeks pregnant and within 72 hours after delivery. They also need it anytime there is bleeding during pregnancy. It is also needed when they get a miscarriage. And this miscarriage it's a little tricky here because like globally out of 100 women who get pregnant, 50% of them miscarry. And some of them don't get to know. They think maybe it's a delayed heavy period. So during this time, if the fetus that was there was rhesus positive and the woman is negative, the lady's system forms like antibodies against that positive.
Okay.
And in future, if she gets pregnant and the baby happens to be rhesus positive when she's negative, the reaction is worse. And the baby may be affected to an extent of either being lost while still in utero, while still in the uterus, or some of them die shortly after birth. So it is very important to know the blood groups
and the rhesus factor.
Yes, part of the blood group is you'll know whether you're rhesus positive or negative. And even if you know, whenever you're planning to have a baby, it is repeated.
So it means you have mentioned that, but what we can pick out here is the fact that both of the prospective partners should be rhesus negative.
If both of them are negative, then that is very okay.
That is very okay.
But if the lady is negative, and the husband is positive, then the baby could take on the man's blood group positive, and the lady's body will consider that as like, a foreign organ, and it will produce like antibodies or soldiers against the baby. So
it means I want the viewers to appreciate well these blood groups A, B, and O. It means anyone can get married to another.
Anyone can get married to another.
Very well. What is important is the rhesus factor.
Yes, the rhesus. And even if the rhesus is different, you can still get married to each other, but you need information like before, how to deal with your particular situation.
So in other words, the medical checkup, at that moment they cannot stop you from getting married if you are...
They do not stop you from getting married, but they give you the medical precautions to ensure that your babies are delivered bi-idhni Rahman safely.
But from the medical, as a medical practitioner, would you advise those people to continue, or if there is option of them exiting that relationship, would you recommend that they do exit it, or they can continue with the medical precautions as mentioned?
If all the other factors are very okay, then it is okay. It can be handled. All you need is anti-D every time somebody is pregnant.
Anti-D.
Yeah, you need anti-D. Okay. So you need to find the money and have it in place. So anytime you bleed while you're pregnant, or if you have the money, then you can have it at 28 weeks of pregnancy, 32 weeks of pregnancy. If the money is not enough, then it's given within 72 hours after delivery. But if somebody had so many options and found out that maybe if the lady had options, if the lady is rhesus negative and she had options to choose from men and all other factors were constant,
she would look
for one who is rhesus negative.
How about cases where they are both rhesus positive? That is dangerous?
No, that's not. That is very okay.
It's very okay as well.
And if it's the man who is rhesus negative and the woman is rhesus positive, that is also okay.
That is also okay.
Only that you'll need to find out what the baby's blood groups are, and you advise them very early in life.
Okay.
Yes.
So dear viewers, we are preparing to go for a short break. We are looking at the medical considerations you should look out for before going into this marriage. We have seen cases of where people go into marriage and they are out of the hospital every now and then, and the doctors keep asking, but did you guys make a medical checkup at first? And they say, we just saw each other, then visit the parents, and before you know it, you had tied a knot. But we are looking at, as a Muslim, as a member of the community out there, there are things that you should look out for medically before you can go into this marriage. At this moment, we shall be going for a very short break, and then inshallah we'll be returning with the second segment of the show.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Amos Wekesa is a spirited and devoted advocate and champion for Uganda. His never-ending optimism, curiosity, and passion for all things Ugandan can be felt in every tweet and interaction. Amos also puts his money where his mouth is by investing in domestic tourism so that people get a feel of what Uganda has to offer. Amos, a grateful nation thanks you. You are unstoppable. MTN, the Unstoppable Network, celebrates you. Visit GreatLakesSafaris.com and together, let's support Ugandans like Amos who are driving our country's unstoppable progress.
Explore, enjoy, and dance to the latest content, beats, and Kawozi from Uganda and beyond. Simply go to your Play Store or App Store right now, find Afro Mobile, download it straight to your phone, and get started. Is it TV you want? Simply open the app, click on TV, select the channel you want, and watch live. Are you busy right now? Then check out On Demand or enjoy in your free time. Afro Mobile. The future is now.
I'm one of the scientists now doing research on plastic technology recycling, where we can be able to produce other products from plastic waste. For example, we are trying to develop a plastic tile with sand plastic tile, that it is unbreakable, it can be shifted from one roof to another. So this is a project we are working on. It's our initiative as Kazire Group of trying to reduce waste from the environment. Brothers and sisters, Tasso Butonde for a better Uganda.
This message is brought to you by National Environment Management Authority, Kampala Capital City Authority, Vivo Energy, Airco, Pepsi, Stanbic Bank, and NBS TV.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
Dear
barakatuh.
viewer and my guest here, we welcome you back to the second segment of the show, and from the show, welcome you back from the very short break that we had. We are looking at the aspects of good morals that comes to you in the weekly Al Hidayah show that runs every Monday and Thursday. Specifically today on Thursday, we are looking at aspects of good morals, and we are looking at what are things that we can do to make our communities have a better standing, better life, better status. We know the world today is full of many challenging situations. So through this show, we hope to provide solutions, provide initiatives that can help us have better communities. One of the things we've looked at of late is the fact that people are entering marriages, but they don't know who they are. They think when you look at the beauty and know this person's brother, sister, mother, and that is all. But then there is the biological aspects of it, the medical part of it, that today we have invited a medical practitioner who is a specialist gynecologist, Dr. Mariam Chinene, to take us through what are those medical considerations you should look out for before you propose or get married to this person. So we ended on a note where we are saying that you need to know the blood group of your prospective partner, and the blood group also goes with a resource factor. If both of you are negative, the best. If one of you is positive and the other is negative, the marriage can go on, but with medical precautions at play. So, doctor, as we are starting the second segment of the show, we ended on the blood group aspect of it. What are other medical or other considerations that these partners should look out for before they can go into this institution called marriage?
Thank you so much, Mr. Sekalala.
Yes, please.
Okay, we need to do the HIV test, and it's done 3 times before you get married. You do it like day one. You could even do it from 2 different places. Like from the lady, they can take you to where they usually go for theirs, and then also the gentleman could take the lady to where he usually does his.
Okay.
So it's done that day one, then 3 months after that, and also 6 months after that.
Wow.
Then,
Mashallah.
when you get married and you're planning to have a baby, bi'idhni Rahman, it's also recommended that you repeat that test. And after delivery, 6 weeks after delivery, it's also good practice that you do that test. Or for some reason, if one partner has been away, like when you come back before like you meet, it's also good practice to have that test done. It does not necessarily mean that there is mistrust, but it's good standard of care. It's good practice to have the test done.
MashaAllah.
Then we also do syphilis test. Yes. And if you're already married and you've done a syphilis test and one partner is positive, the couple gets treated.
Wow.
You get treated and you're advised to use protection for that time of treatment until when you're considered like cleared.
Okay.
Then the other lab test is we do the hepatitis B surface antigen test.
What is hepatitis? Because it's a common term that is being mentioned of late. We know the HIV, the syphilis, at least people have grown up, but hepatitis, it's a common word, but what is it exactly?
Okay, hepatitis is just inflammation of the liver, but hepatitis B surface antigen, they are referring to a particular virus, and it's a chronic infection. Once somebody has it, will have it for life, and the mother can pass it on to the child, in the womb, and it can even cause like death. One of the conditions the mother could be having that can cause fetal death is hepatitis. So it has its special management. One of it is to boost somebody's immunity, and the baby gets a special vaccine at birth.
Okay.
Though the government has involved the hepatitis vaccine, but like as part of the routine immunization, but that particular baby whose mother has been found to have the disease is given a special vaccine.
So talk to my prospective marriage spouses here. If one of them is diagnosed with hepatitis B, would we advise against that marriage going ahead?
They would be advised not to go ahead unless if they are not planning on
having children. So it means that
if at all their interest is to see that the intention is to ensure that the babies have the best of health, then ideally it would be advised like against it.
Now what happens to that person? Should they give up on marriage completely, or they can be treated and then later get married?
It doesn't cure.
Doesn't cure.
The immunity helps to contain it, and somebody is checked every 6 months, and if for some reason the immunity is low, or somebody is stressed or under drugs, and the disease gets high, then somebody is put on antiretroviral drugs like for life. However, if like you like that lady or the gent, then you could plan. You could plan, because some people may get married for not having babies, and they could use protection like condoms. Though like the majority think condoms are not for married people, but that is one of the way you could use them.
So in other words, if you love this person, love this man, love this lady with the condition they have been diagnosed, you can still go ahead, but on condition that you'll never have children. Yes,
you understand it, and then you know how to prevent it, and your intention is not to have babies, then you could still go ahead.
So what are some of the causes of this disease? Because it seems to be a deadly disease. Or
it is caused by a virus. It like there are different types, and some of them are sexually transmitted, and others through contact through body fluids from an infected person, like blood. Yes.
Wow, subhanallah. May Allah save us from those chronic diseases.
Then the other one is HB electrophoresis, to find out if there is a gene for sickle cell.
Sickle cells,
because some people, though you take history, some people may not know that in their families that they are on sickle cell. Others may know.
Yes.
Others, it may be in their 16th generation. So it is good practice to do your HB electrophoresis to know whether you're a carrier or sickler, they usually you do it, but usually those fall sick and they get to know.
They get to know.
But by the time people are big enough and they don't know, maybe it's the carriers.
The carriers.
So the carriers have that type of AS. If somebody is AS and the spouse is also AS, is also a carrier, then there is a 25% chance of having a baby who has sickle cell disease.
The sickler is always a red zone. No one should even get married to that person, right?
If you married her, then you should know that if I married like a sickler, then I have a chance of having babies who are, and for example, the other person is type AA, doesn't have the gene, then the babies are going to be carriers, all of them.
All of them
are going to be carriers. So you would advise your babies, like when the time comes to plan to have babies, they should put that into consideration.
Okay.
If they don't want the risk of having somebody with sickle cell disease, then they get married to somebody who doesn't have that gene at all. Wow.
So then there are cases where one is a sickler and the other one is a normal person. That is a good marriage.
If somebody has sickle cell that has SS gene, and then the other one has a carrier has AS, or that.
Oh, sorry, I was mentioning. I meant someone is a carrier and the one is normal. So that one there's no problem. One is a carrier, but the other partner is normal.
If somebody is a carrier and then the other person doesn't have a sickle cell gene at all, you're not going to have sicklers, but you have a chance of having carriers. So there is need after like 2 years of age to test the children so that they get to know way before and they plan like accordingly.
Okay. So the best combination will be both and normal, but if there is a carrier and then normal, that is also okay.
Yes, because you're going to get carriers.
So the red zone is 2 carriers shouldn't get married to one another.
2 carriers.
And just like a sickler is married but with medical preconditions.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless if somebody gets to know that they are willing to do whatever it takes to pay the price.
Pay the price.
Yes. You know the medical implication and it's okay with you, then you can take that. You make that informed decision.
Informed decision.
Yes.
So sickle cells, briefly, people out there, tell us sickle cells as a disease. What is it? And briefly, what is the kind of treatment or kind of lifestyle somebody lives with they are having sickle cells as a disease?
Okay, sickle cell, it's a genetic disease. The red blood cells usually have abnormal shapes, and because of the abnormal shape, like they usually go into crises. Like blood usually gets clotted, and when blood clots, the supply to different parts of the body gets interfered with, so they get pain due to ischemia. And because the blood cells have abnormal shapes, they usually get destroyed. So that they hemolyze, they break down the red blood cells. So they usually in a painful crisis, but alhamdulillah there is improved care for the sicklers. There is the whole department of sickle cell disease, and mashallah the late BMK did a lot. There is a lot of testing in the community, so people can make informed decisions, or people can know that I have this problem. So there is care. Part of the care that the children get, like well hydrated, because when they are not well hydrated, it may spark off a painful crisis. It may spark off a crisis. When they get sick, sometimes they lose blood because the cells are abnormal in shape and they are being broken down. So sometimes they may need like a transfusion. Then even surgery to a sickler should be done like in a specialized unit. It's and all specialists are brought on board to ensure that somebody is safe. The care, alhamdulillah, has improved compared to before. Yes, and somebody should seek treatment.
Often.
somebody should be attending the sickle cell clinic like regularly, and then you know the precautions, you know what medications to take, like the folic acid to replace back, you know, to help in that process of dealing with the breakdown of the red blood cells.
Actually, if for the interest of our viewers, one time our sales student at Makerere, and we used to have these visits to hospitals. Now one day we go to Mulago Hospital, and then I don't know whether it was the children's ward. Then we come across this mother. She was with her child, but from the thigh to the foot, the skin was out. Do you know, like they poured hot water on you? And ask the mother, what happened to this child? And say, my son, these are mistakes we made before we got married. My child is a sickle, and this situation has been the case like this for the past 15 years up to when they are here in hospital. And it shocked me, and I really thought that indeed before you go into marriage, the issue of medical precaution is very important, and the child was suffering almost for the whole of their life because of that decision that the parents made. So sickle cells is a very, very terrible disease. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to avoid and also get treatment in case. Which other medical lab consideration should some person look after before they get married?
Finally, you may do a pelvic scan. Though from history, you would love to know if somebody is getting her periods. Yes, that is very key because it's important if somebody is planning to have children. Otherwise, they can do a pelvic scan. It is safe, and it can give you a brief idea of the reproductive system in the lady. Okay. In addition to the history. But just like in Islam, it is encouraged that you consult in every aspect of life, being it that you're going to build or you're going to marry, just like we are discussing. It's always good like to consult like the elders. So much as like Islam also says that like part of the precondition for a good nikah to take place, like there should be that mutual, like two parties must have agreed, the man and wife, like they've appreciated each other and they are willing to go into marriage. But that is very important. But you should also engage like the parents before marriage, like before marriage, or like your guardians or like your mentors, so that such issues are brought to your notice and you do whatever you do from an informed way, because that is what Islam encourages. Like people who know are not the same as those who don't know. Yeah, and if you want to know about something, Allah has given knowledge to different people, so you seek for that knowledge. From we have the Quran and Sunnah, and Quran and Sunnah will always like guide you. Yes. Thank you very much. So the pelvic scan, the ladies out there, get interested in the pelvic scan as another important thing to do. Which other aspects should we look at as we are trying to wind up? Also the history of if somebody has been vaccinated against hepatitis. It's important because when somebody is pregnant, we don't do that vaccine. Yet, like before you marry or before you get into the field of marriage, ideally both man and wife, you should go be tested for hepatitis, and if you're found negative, you get the vaccine, the 3 doses. And then you get it like first time, and then a month after, and 6 months from the first dose. When you skip and don't complete the dose, you repeat again. Then you'd also love to know if somebody got the routine immunization like during their childhood, so that you don't risk, you know, there is a stage in pregnancy like immunity is interfered with. So if somebody didn't get vaccines, like for some reason, maybe because of parents' beliefs or what was happening or where they were delivered, you need to know, and some of them you could get them to help to boost the body Then the other one is the vaccination against measles, mumps, and rubella, because there are some of the things that cause like fetal losses, like in utero. So as a human being, you do your very best, and then you leave the rest to Allah. Just like they tell us that you first tie your horse safely in a very safe place,
Okay.
and then you surrender it to Allah to guide it and protect it.
Mashallah.
Mashallah.
So as we are winding up, Doctor, we are talking to people who are not yet in marriage, but now there's someone out there who is already in marriage and he's saying some of those things I didn't do. What will be the advice for them as we are winding up the show?
Thank you so much. The advice, Bi'idhni Rahman, is to come to hospital, you get evaluated, and then from that evaluation, we'll see how do you move forward, Bi'idhni Rahman.
Okay.
How do you move forward?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So dear viewer, we are looking at the aspect of good morals, and it is what are medical considerations we should look up to before getting married. And doctors told us, be mindful of the blood group, HIV tests, sickle cell tests, among others, and then try to inquire from this lady or from this man, do they have routine immunization in their childhood? And then in case those things have not been done, then the best you can do now is go to the hospital. But remember, going to the hospital is a question of knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that created you, and is the one who guides the course of life that we are living. So go to the hospital and then get guidance, and then try to live a responsible life. But one particular thing that I've picked interest in is the fact that HIV should be done every 30 days, minimum, every 3 months minimum, right?
That is when the lady is pregnant.
It's pregnant.
You do it every 3 months, and then after she has delivered Bi'idhni Rahman, you do it at 6 weeks.
At 6 weeks.
Before the couple resumes being sexually
Okay,
active.
so it means even before marriage, minimum should be how many times before?
3 times.
3 times. So it means that is after what intervals?
Okay, you do it like that first day,
Okay.
then 3 months after, then 3 months from the second.
So that
time.
calculation tells us that, of late we encourage people to have very simple and easy marriages. We don't run things of people going into extended dating and courtship. Would that requirement of 3 months of testing work well with people who are saying you can even get married in 3 months after appreciating each other?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
Because you need 6 months to have that testing, the Bi'idhni Rahman,
Okay.
like done.
So in other words, you do the first test and then give it another
3 months.
3 months.
Then another 3 months. That means 6 months from the time you first tested.
So it means minimally people who want to have marriages that are halal and that are sunnah, as people call it nowadays, or like is the recommended teaching, you have a minimum of 6 months to prepare for this, because there are tests that are involved that you can't fast track. You can't say I did my test of HIV yesterday, and then after 2 weeks I'll repeat another, and then the window would be done. You need to minimally give it 6 months of tests that would make you prepared enough for this marriage. But remember, today we've not gone into the Sharia explanations of what are the things to look out for. Today we are looking at the medical considerations, and we hope that the viewers out there, we have picked something of particular interest. The fact that you need to test and test and test if you must have a child that is going to be a source of happiness to you, and not a source of anxiety, a source of suffering in the world, because we all want to have happy lives. So doctors, we are winding up. The costs of testing are so much. What advice would you give me? Because I, for one, before I got married, I remember there's Ebenezer. It is, I think, a world-class international lab, but by then it was minimum of 150,000 per couple. I mean per person. So if you're two, it was 300,000.
To do what?
To do all those, some of the tests that you've mentioned, the sickle cells, the blood group, and the rest. Are there low cost options we have for testing these things, because you find that some people don't do them because of the cost that is involved. Kindly take us through as we are winding up the show.
Okay. There are some government institutions where you can have them done.
Okay.
And there are hospitals where the government puts money, the non-for-profit, where the tests should be very affordable. But there are labs like the Central Public Lab in Rosera, and it had a special program for, they were doing massive HB electrophoresis, like finding out the
sickle
gene,
cell
the sickle cell
status
gene.
of people.
Yes. So when you seek information, like you will always find the Itmi Rahman.
Okay.
There is always like a way.
So government
And some of them, you could do them like in bits.
in bits, eh?
Yes, you could do them like in bits.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So viewers, we have government hospitals. You can always go for those tests. You just have come for medical examination. We are prepared to get married, and I hope the doctors would welcome you with very, very open hands, because they know you're doing a responsible decision. Then there are also non-profit hospitals that you can go to, health centers, and then the Central Public Health Laboratory that is found in Butabika, Rosira. All those are options you can have to go and get these tests. As we are winding up, Doctor, it is very important to remind our viewers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says that indeed the good people are for good and the bad are for the bad. So look at your lifestyle. If you are a person who lives a responsible life, know that Allah still will get you a person that is equally responsible. But if you have messed up in life, the best thing to do is to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you, and then make him help you become a better person. So Doctor, your final comment, parting shot as we are exiting the show.
So mashallah, in Islam, prevention is better than cure, and making an informed decision is key. And marriage is an act of worship. Just like giving birth to children, it's in a way like one form that even when you're passed on, you can still get rewards, or Allah can give you Jannah from your children. So before you go into that venture, seek Allah's guidance, and also seek guidance from people God has given knowledge. You can visit us, the obstetricians and gynecologists, so that we advise you from that point of view.
MashaAllah. Thank you very much. So viewer, we want to thank you again for being a wonderful audience from where we started from. This is the Al Hidayah Show. It comes to you every Thursday from 3 to 4 o'clock at the screens of Salam Television. Remember, you can always get this show on YouTube. There are always recordings. If you missed out the first parts of the show, kindly make it a point to log on to the YouTube channel of Salam Television. Otherwise, till next time, with me, Muhammad Sekalala, and with my guest here, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa
Eno, yes, Salam TV.